Hello, everybody. This is Kimchi Crypto. Today, I'm going to talk about Israel attacks Iran right now. What to do as an investor. Let's dive in. GameStop upsizes private offering to $2.25 billion despite stock slump amid Bitcoin treasury plans. GameStop, for your information, they already bought 4,710 Bitcoin in May and early June, and they plan to buy 24,000 Bitcoin with $2.5 billion. If it is done, they would become the fourth largest public company which holds uh, more fourth largest Bitcoin holding in the public company in the United States. That's a huge thing. U.S. Senate schedules final Genius stablecoin bill vote for June 17th, which is next Tuesday. The U.S. Senate is scheduled to give its final vote on the Genius Act next Tuesday. The bill, if passed by the Senate, will move on to the House of Representatives for further voting. Please note that this takes time. The Genius Act aims to establish a legal framework for stablecoins and issuers. Genius Act is likely to pass 100% by July or by the August. Before Genius Act pass in the US Senate and the House, let me buy the dip. Let me buy the quality altcoins. Anyway, Bitcoin sinked below $104,000. Ether slided after Israeli airstrikes on Iran. Bitcoin fell 4.7% and Ethereum dropped 10% to below $2,500. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz declared a state of emergency following the country's airstrikes on Iran, according to media reports. When war breaks out, what to do as an investor? Well, 5 of 5 times stocks bottomed just before invasion, in Vietnam War, in Gulf War, in Afghanistan War, in Iraq War, in Crimson Crisis. So there comes a quote by the invasion, especially before the invasion. 5 of 5 times stocks bottomed before the invasion. Around 2 months earlier. What if the Afghanistan by the invasion if they just bought some stocks, the stocks just went up a little bit, but it collapsed. What happened in the early 2000s? That was when the dot-com bubble burst. That could be some type of exception, to be honest. What about the recent warfares, such as Russia and Ukraine war? Well, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, it took place on February 2022. The S&P 500 experienced a sharp decline, dropping about 4% within the first few days. However, the index began to recover after about 3 weeks, returning to its pre-invasion levels within a month. What about Israel-Hamas war? Hamas launched a significant attack on Israel on October 7th, 2023. The market response was the US markets reacted with volatility. On October 1st, 2023, just a week before the invasion, the S&P 500 fell over 1%, while the Nasdaq Composite dropped by more than 2%. However, despite initial declines, the market showed resilience began to stabilize as the conflict's direct impact on global markets remained limited. In short, most warfares gave us a great opportunity to buy the dip, especially quality assets. What about Israel-Iran conflict, which is ongoing right now? Israel launched military strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities on June 13th, just a day ago. US stock futures fell sharply with S&P 500 futures dropping over 1%. Oil prices surged by more than 6% and defense stocks saw gains, while airline stocks declined due to rising fuel costs. My point here is it's a temporary response. The market rebounded most of the times. This one is still ongoing, but here's the thing. Unless the world collapses with those warfares, a huge opportunity to buy quality assets at a very cheaper price. But you might ask me, what if war escalates into World War III, for example? What if the world collapses? What if? This is something that we cannot control by ourselves, right? And second, what's the point of money? What's the meaning of money if the whole world collapsed? No use for that, right? I'm talking about investing in a historical and statistical probabilities. So I bought recently Bitcoin, XRP, On the Finance, Shiba Inu, and AVAX in a recent dip. If war escalates more, well, I'd buy some more. I do not have huge money left, but still I'm trying to buy some more quality assets because history has been telling us history doesn't repeat itself, but often rhymes. What do you think? Thank you for listening.